Hello and welcome to the Disney Patrol podcast. My name is Keegan Turner. I'm one of your two co-hosts. Across from me, as always, is Hayden Lyle. Today we got one for the parents. This is a big. We're in a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of groups in general, a lot of blogs.
A lot of questions about this.
Worst rides for children. So we're gonna have a main list of definite do nots, and we got a secondary list of your kid best.
Yeah,
basically.
toss-ups. It's a play-by-play.
Yes.
Type of deal with that.
So I'm gonna just hand it right off to Hayden, and he's gonna get started.
All right. So the first one on my list of absolutely do not take your kid on this ride. I'm gonna start off with it's tough to be a bug.
Yep.
It might seem like a kid ride. It's not a roller coaster. It's kind of a show.
I'd say that's like the most.
I feel like if you're a Disney person, don't bring a kid on there. But if it's your first,
it's the most like deceiving ride because you think Bug's Life and you think
right. If it's your first couple times in Disney World, you probably don't know. But definitely don't bring your kid on that ride.
No. That's like
it starts off really nice and fun.
That's horrible.
But as soon as they bring Hopper in, all
I haven't
hell
been on
breaks
that.
loose.
I haven't been on that ride once. Without a kid screaming.
Oh no, there's gonna be crying kids if you go on the ride, 100%. But it's all fun and games until Hopper comes. Well, as soon as Hopper comes,
over.
The room fills up with fog.
Yeah.
It gets really loud. Spiders drop down from the ceiling. You get fake bee stings in the back.
Yeah, I distinctly remember, like vividly, because I'm scarred for life by this. When I was a kid, I went, I don't know, probably 5 or 6. Absolutely freaked out.
I think I've been afraid of this ride since I was up until I was 15 or 16.
I freaked out.
Oh yeah, same here. I was very scared.
I was not. Yeah, the thing that I remember vividly is the wasps coming out.
Oh yeah,
that was like when
the spiders is what did it for me because they come out of the fog. You look up, there's big black widows above your head.
Yeah. And you can't really just. That was the first ride for me of that kind. You couldn't decipher what was real.
It's
and what
scary.
wasn't.
I'm an adult and I'm still a little afraid of that one.
You can't, as a kid, you can't decipher what's real and what's not. That's the problem.
Right, exactly. And plus the music's loud. It's just a mess.
It stimulates all your senses, and it's not good.
Yeah, definitely do not bring kids on. It's tough to be a bug.
On my list, I got Space Mountain.
I agree with that one.
I don't think it's for. It's not even for all adults. If I'm being honest,
Nope.
It's not for all adults, if I'm being honest. Space Mountain. It's not for kids. It's dark. It's fast. It's scary.
It's really dark. You have no idea where you're going the whole time.
Yeah.
It's got sharp turns. It's got decent-sized hills. Yeah. I think the biggest problem, though, for kids would be the darkness.
Yeah. It's literally pitch black.
It's pitch black. I think the biggest thing is you just you feel like you're going to hit your head on something.
Yeah, and there's just really odd, loud sounds randomly through the ride.
Yeah. I think they're supposed, to mimic space.
Right.
As a kid, you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that even as an adult, you have no idea what's going on.
I think another problem is you're basically sitting by yourself, right? Because there's no one next to you.
Right. You can't look at mom or dad you can't look at them for reassurance.
As a kid, if you can't touch your mom or be holding her hand or something, that might be.
Yeah, I'd say that's a big no.
A little scary for sure. So yeah, that's another good one. Definitely agree with that. The next one on my list, a lot of these I feel like are kind of self-explanatory, but they got to be on there. But the next one would be Rock and Roller Coaster, another ride that takes primarily in the dark. It's definitely not as dark as Space Mountain because you have all the illuminated signs and stuff, but it takes place primarily in the dark. It is super fast, especially the takeoff. The takeoff can be pretty scary for kids.
There's flips, there's loops, there's everything.
You've
spirals,
got
everything.
flips, you've got corkscrews. It's got the work for roller coaster stuff. So another terrible ride to bring kids on. Again, if your kid loves roller coasters and stuff, by all means, bring them on.
Right. All these are pretty. Like I said in the intro, your kid's best.
Right.
So
this is a general.
This is very generalized. If you think your kid can handle this and likes roller coasters, that's great. I know as a kid, I was fine on roller coasters as a kid, but I wasn't fine with Tough to Be a Bug.
Yep. I've really kind of been okay with roller coasters. I didn't ride Rock and Roller Coaster till I was a little older.
I remember I rode that on when I was right when I could at the height requirement.
Yeah, not I. But we're not telling you how to parent or anything. This is just a general list.
Our parents did it differently.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to ride it. My dad was probably laughing at me and saying, "Okay, go ahead."
I didn't want to ride, but 95% of the kids probably aren't going to like these rides.
Right.
But yeah, it takes place mostly in the dark. It has flips. It has loops. It's super fast. So another ride that's probably not great for most of the kids out there. Plus, it's got a pretty tall height requirement, which is another.
They make it pretty clear it's not for kids.
This ride is probably going to be difficult for kids to get on anyway. The other two we've mentioned don't have as high of a height requirement. Yeah. This one is pretty. This pretty is good. So
definitely like one of the highest for height requirements. So,
all right.
On to me. My next this one's pretty obvious. Probably Haunted Mansion.
I've got that on my list as well, but I want to hear why you don't.
Well, this is another thing. This is another thing. He just dropped his mic, but I'll carry on here. But you can't decipher the fantasy and the facts here. That's a problem, I think, with this.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you don't. As a kid, I remember you see this ballroom scene, which this is probably for first timers. Other than that, you would know not to ride this with a kid probably, but. You see a lot of ghosts. You see a lot of things that I feel like as a kid you can't make the decision if this is real or fake, and that can lead to a lot of problems.
I mean, the Haunted Mansion is Disney's version of, a haunted house. So, right. I mean, as an adult, you obviously know everything's fake.
But as you say, this is Disney's version.
Right.
When you go to a haunted house in like your state's or your area's theme park, it's pretty bad. Well, I mean, it's not scary.
Yeah, but like they also don't like dumb anything down. Like you've got real quote unquote ghosts, you got ghouls, you got monsters in there.
You're saying Disney or
in the Haunted Mansion?
Okay, yeah.
So there's genuinely scary things in there for kids for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not designed to scare people. It's supposed to be a fun ride for the whole family and everything. The songs are kind of goofy and all that, and you have the ghosts that jump in your car and they're supposed to be funny and all that. But I think there's some genuinely scary things in there, especially for kids.
I think the ballroom's the worst part.
You think the ballroom's the scariest part?
Yeah,
I think
probably.
the graveyard is probably the scariest part.
You think? Ooh,
I'd say the graveyard.
That animatronic guy is kind of spooky, I will say.
I'd say the graveyard, or right when you get in there, you look to the left. There's the monster trying to come out of the coffin.
Right.
You got
that intro part is and the floating head and everything too.
You've got the creepy faces in the pictures.
Right.
You've got the guy walking down the hall that you can't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ghost playing the piano.
I don't know if again it's really I would say generally speaking this is probably not for kids. Even if you think your kid can handle it, I would just not do it.
I mean that one again, case by case basis. It's not. There's no.
This one I'd say is very highly generalized. It's not.
Yeah. I mean no height requirements, so that's not going to stop them. But it is.
My biggest thing with this is like I remember I couldn't tell if it was real or fake. I had no idea.
If they do want, if they keep saying want to ride it, maybe go definitely during the daytime.
Right. So when you get out, they're not seeing things.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. The daytime is definitely the time to go if they demand to go on.
And Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is coming up too, which is an interesting time.
I've seen the Not So Scary Halloween Party, and it is not so scary. It's
we went as a. I think this is when we went together as a family.
You were a fat little baby.
Yeah, I was a pudge. But
but yeah, I mean
it's you go trick or treating. Go
it's very
talk
family,
to characters.
Yeah, it's very family friendly.
On the theme of family friendly and spooky Halloween, I'd recommend going to the Not So Scary Halloween Party.
All right,
it's good times.
So my next one, again, a roller coaster with a pretty serious height requirement.
Yes, this is probably the
Expedition Everest.
Yeah. No go.
No go for many reasons. One, it first of all, I'm 24 and I get scared every time.
Yeah, same.
Every time they bring you up the hill and you look out right and you can see all of Animal Kingdom because you are way up there.
Yeah.
I don't like how slow it goes up the hill. That scares me. I'm afraid.
Yeah, you are very high.
So I got stuck there for almost a half hour, and it scars me. that I hate that, but that's one reason. Second reason, it's super fast. Not only are you going forwards, you're going backwards. You don't go upside down, but it feels like you go upside down backwards.
And you go up into like a track that's broken.
Yeah,
which is
the broken
like
track.
That the first time I ridden that ride, I shat myself just a tad.
It could definitely scare.
Yeah, you can get some skid marks and some underwear there.
So that's another thing, and there's also a big giant Yeti you run into.
Right, but it's not as bad as it used to be. It
doesn't move anymore.
Yeah, so it used to be way scary.
Yeah, it used to move. It swipe its claw at you, glowing red eyes. Definitely used to be way scary.
Yeah.
They did dumb it down a bit, but it could still be scary for some kids. So definitely another ride I would not recommend taking kids on.
Tower of Terror is a huge no-no.
See, I have that on my maybe list.
I'd say this is a definite. again, the scariest part for me now, I mean, obviously, like they have projections of ghosts and stuff.
Right, but so the beginning ride through I think is very mild. Definitely not as scary as Haunted Mansion.
No,
it's much more of a story.
Yeah,
in
it's more. Yeah, it's more story driven. But you go all the way to the top where if you're standing outside and you're looking up and you see the letters, that's how tall you go.
You go way up there.
So you can kind of assume that a kid's not going to want to go that tall.
Yeah, I mean,
that high in the air.
The Tower of Terror is just Disney's version of a drop ride with a lot of theater thrown into it. So if your kid's like a drop ride at any other amusement park or whatever it is, they're probably gonna like Tower of Terror. I mean, the worst part is just that feeling you get, of your stomach going to your throat or the butterfly feeling.
I remember as a kid, I was so small, and I just remember I just made the height requirement, and I don't know, I don't think I or they didn't strap me in all the way.
I've heard 100 stories.
But when we dropped, my butt left the seat about a foot.
They do that on purpose. You're totally fine. Put some hair in your chest.
Right.
But
I mean, I thought it was fun. It enhanced my experience, but hey.
As long as your kid is fine with that butterfly feeling, like if they like that, I don't see
this is the thing with Disney, though. This is a lot of kids' first time amusement parks, probably.
That is true.
And they've never felt they've never been that high in the air before, and they've never felt the feeling of a drop. So you have to, if you and your kids have never been to an amusement park and this is your first.
I hate that butterfly feeling, so I don't ride Tower of Terror. I've been on twice my whole life, and I don't ride it anymore. I've got that out of my system. But when I was on it, I don't remember kids crying. A lot of screaming, but happy.
When I went, there wasn't kids on it. That's probably, I remember that. I remember there not being kids on it.
That might be an indicator that it's not a great ride for kids. But I say if they make the height requirement, if they're okay with that butterfly feeling.
There was a grown man on mine. He was I don't know, probably 6'8", 250. He was the one freaking out at the end of the ride.
There's no surprises though with Tower of Terror. You know exactly what you're getting. So you're not going to be surprised by anything in there like you would be with a
that's the thing. You know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, like it's tough to be a
bug.
You're
going up, you're going down.
I feel like it's a shock for most parents. Yeah, exactly. You just don't expect it to be as scary as it is. But yeah, so moving on from that one, my next one is going to be Dinosaur.
Yeah, this is another misleading one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like not a lot of people have seen the movie, but if you have seen the movie, it has almost nothing to do with the movie.
I'd say besides the fact that there's dinosaurs,
they have Aladar from the movie, and they have the villains from the movie, and that is about it.
That's it.
But with that being said, it starts off, you go, you walk through the museum, you see the little movie, it all seems fun, and then once you get into the ride, it's pretty much pitch black. The ride is, tipsy, topsy-turvy, shaking you all around. And you're basically being chased by a giant Carnotaur or a T-Rex with horns if you don't know what a Carnotaur is. And, they're very life-size. They're very loud. They're very in your face.
And they surprise you as well.
Yep, they pop out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's the thing that got me.
So as a kid, I can just imagine. I actually didn't ride Dinosaur until like 5 or 6 years ago for some reason. Maybe my parents thought we'd be afraid of it as kids. But
I rode it as a kid and I freaked out.
Yeah, as a kid with a giant dinosaur with big huge teeth charging at you. I feel like that
there's a big age gap between me and my brother, so they wanted to ride it, and I was just like, okay. So we all rode it. I freaked out. I remember that.
I love it now. It's probably one of my favorite rides in all of Disney World. But as a kid, that would definitely have scared me.
It scared me.
And I've heard my fair share of crying kids on that.
Right.
We don't. Another thing we say, we don't have kids.
Yeah.
But we've been on rides a million times. We've heard our fair share of crying kids.
And just a reminder here that we have a blog article about this. Most of our list is from there. But we have like POV rides, which is your point of view.
Yeah, if you want to check, if you think you didn't get a ton of this podcast, you want to see what the rides actually look like, head over to our blog at DisneyPatrolBlog.com.
And it's our most recent post.
Yeah, it's the first article on there, and you can see POV ride-alongs of all these rides, so you can get a better idea of what they look like.
Right.
But yeah, Dinosaur, another scary ride that we feel like surprises a few people for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely misleading. I'd say that. My next one is Mission Space. This is not for real. We talked about this in our last episode.
I hate this ride. Worst ride in Walt Disney World. Well, except for maybe Figment, but that's worse for different reasons.
Right. Mission Space is not for. It's not for most adults.
It's not for kids. It's not for adults. it is for extreme adrenaline junkies only. If you ask me,
right. I love it. I'm an adrenaline junkie myself, so I can agree. I love it.
As far as for kids,
if you have motion sickness, don't ride it. This is what we got into
It'll
last
get you
episode.
if you have motion sickness. If you're claustrophobic, I mean, you're stuck in this little box with 4 people.
Yeah, 4 people total.
And once it gets going, you're not getting out. Like
Right.
you're in there. No one will hear you scream.
Wait, when he says box, you're in a closet.
It's very small.
You're basically shoulder to shoulder.
You're shoulder to shoulder with everyone you're with. It's very small. It's spinning you around the whole time. That's how you get that G-force feeling. So if you close your eyes, you're gonna feel that, and it's gonna make you sick. Again, very dark.
Not for kids.
If you're doing the orange one, it flips you around. You're going upside down.
I haven't done the orange one.
There's fake crashes. If you don't do it makes you screams at you to hit the buttons. I mean, there's a lot going on, especially if you're claustrophobic. I mean, it's just not great, and it's stressful. Like I get stressed out on that ride.
Yeah. It's not for everyone.
I mean, and it's another ride with a pretty serious height requirement.
Yeah. Just because they're trying to wean out kids,
right?
Basically,
it's not.
It's just not for kids.
Yeah, so,
just end of story. That one, don't even chance it.
If your kid does make the height requirement and they want to go on, Luckily Mission Space has a green. They call it the green ride,
right?
Which is much less intense than the orange. Don't take kids on orange. Absolutely not.
I would say don't take kids on this at all.
I would too, but I mean, if you got that kid, he has to go.
Right.
Green. Do not go on orange.
Yeah, green for sure.
Go green. All right. So my next one on this list, and I feel like this might be a weird one for a lot of people because from the outside, and I mean, 90% of this ride is great for kids. It's great for the whole family, but Thunder Mountain.
Oh, okay.
And only because of the first minute of the ride, I had this on here. But the first minute of the ride, it's a very dark tunnel. It's very loud in there. And they have these fake bats, with red eyes hanging out from the ceiling. They have a waterfall that makes a ton of noise. And
I'd say the scariest part's the bats.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think so, but like every time I ride it without fail, there's always a couple kids crying in that first minute.
Right, because they don't expect that. They expect a fun ride.
Yeah, and
that part's a little. Yeah,
I can see how it would be scary. It's just not.
I had this on my up to you list.
Yeah,
this is like one of my maybe not.
I can see
kids.
that. It probably should be on my maybe list if I'm honest, but that's another one that without fail, I feel like it surprises parents because of that one scene that's not really, I guess, advertised. You wouldn't really expect to be in there because if you from the outside, you just see the train going around,
right
at a moderate speed, no big hills or anything. You think, oh, great ride for the whole family, but that first minute or whatever it is always seems to get a few kids every time.
I think it's mainly because they're not expecting it.
Right, yeah, it's just not something you expect to be there, especially if it's your first or second time there. And
but I will say, after that part, you don't hear kids
after
crying.
that, probably the best family ride.
Yeah.
Walt Disney
So
World.
if that one, that's why I put on the maybe because like if I had a kid and he liked roller coasters, but I knew he'd be scared, I'd honestly just have him go on and not say anything.
Yeah, cover his eyes or cover his ears.
Yeah, just whatever. He'll be scared for a minute or so, and then once he comes out, he'll be having a blast. So either way,
Yeah, I guess, or have him ride it once. He'll cry, and
yeah.
after that, he'll be fine.
Right.
Do you have any more for absolutely do nots?
No, I don't.
You don't?
That was my last.
All right. So with that being said, you guys know the drill. We love you guys. We love our listeners. But running a podcast is not cheap, and it's definitely not free. All this equipment costs money, and we fund this, all ourselves. All the money that we make from advertising, we put right back into it. And we definitely couldn't do it without our listeners, and we definitely couldn't do it without our sponsors. So with that being said, we're going to send it over to one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by Walt and Co. Walt and Co. creates park-inspired apparel for Disnerds big and small. Their apparel is all hand-printed on only the highest quality of garments, and their customer service is second to none.
As a thank you to our listeners, Walt and Co. would like to offer you 15% off your first order. Just use the code PATROL15 at checkout, and they'll take care of the rest. Walt and Co. Bring the magic right to your front door.
All right, and thank you to our sponsors. We love you, and we are back with our list of rides that are not for kids. So right now we're jumping into a section we're going to call maybes, I guess.
Yeah,
up to you, up to the parents.
Case-by-case basis,
yes,
game time decision.
Right. So mine's a weird one. I love this ride. I still do, but it's odd to me. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh ride. Right? You're weird.
Oh, okay. I kind of see where you're going with this.
So the whole ride's fine. You get to one section that is the Heffalumps.
The Heffalump part.
I would describe this as a bad acid trip of some kind because it's like a bad trip. I would say.
I did not have this on my list, but now that you say
It is that one part is pretty. It's scary. Again, if you know your kids that get scared easily, I'd say if they're scared easily, I wouldn't take them on this.
I mean those are like Pooh's nemesis. They're supposed to be scary.
And there's like scary music. Everything. It's dark at this point, and like I said, it's like a bad trip. Like It's like he's hallucinating and seeing these big, scary, creepy elephants.
It's like an Oompa Loompa-y song going on.
Yes, right. It's like chanting. It's weird.
Kind of dark.
Yeah, it's odd. It's definitely weird. So I'd say it's your call, but
I didn't have that one. But
I'd put this on a maybe. It's up to you. If your kid's easily scared, or if they're really young, they'll probably cry at this part, unless they've seen the movie. If they've seen the original movie that they had the Heffalumps in and they didn't cry.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, it's a case-by-case basis. What we're trying to do is, we've all seen it or been there. You go on a ride, everyone's excited, you get on the ride, and then your kid just screams bloody murder the whole ride.
Right.
Everyone's staring at you, and
we're trying to avoid that.
You feel like a terrible parent, and you just have to sit there and wait the 5 minutes for the ride to be over. So we're just trying to avoid that and try to help you out as best we can. But Pooh, that's definitely out in left field, but
yes.
I see I'd say
this is what I would say. If your kid likes Winnie the Pooh, I'd have him watch the movie that the Heffalumps are in and see how they react. Other than that, I'd leave it up to you.
Yeah, or it's kind of like the Dumbo scene, the weird Dumbo dream he has in Dumbo, same type of deal.
Right.
But all right, so moving on. My first maybe ride is going to be another one of your favorites, Pirates of the Caribbean.
This was I didn't even put this on, but I have a story, so
right.
I knew you'd bring it up, so I didn't even put this on the list.
I think this is another ride that 90% of the ride's fine. It's just the beginning when you go down that hill. First of all, probably the darkest ride for that 5-10 seconds, probably the darkest part in any ride.
You can't see the hand in front of your face.
It's pitch black, and if you've never ridden it, you have no idea you're going down a pretty decent hill.
So I have a story about this specific part. Me and my brother Dylan, it was during one of the fireworks show that was going on at the time. I can't remember what it was called. It's a while ago.
At Disney,
the Magic Kingdom.
Wishes.
Yes, that's what it was. So we heard it go off during they had it around the whole park, the little speakers. So we heard it start. We run to Pirates of the Caribbean. We get on. We're in our seat. And I think they're in front of us.
Your brothers?
No, it's me and Dylan, and then I think it's people. I think they're either in front of us, behind. I think they're in front of us.
Okay.
And it was a mom and a little boy. She turned back right when we started moving. She's like, "This ride's fine for kids, right?" And this is our first time riding it in a long time. We totally forgot about the drop. And he was like, my brother was like, "Yeah, I mean." It's dark, but then it comes out and it's just singing and blah blah blah. We're on the ride at this point,
right?
So then it gets pitch black, and I hear the kid start talking to his mom, getting scared.
No.
And then I was like, Dylan, it drops right here, right? And he's like, no. And then it drops, and he freaked out.
The kid did?
Yeah.
Oh
dude,
no.
We laughed the entire ride because we felt so bad. I mean, the mom didn't say anything to us, but I felt bad.
That's awful.
It was bad. It was bad.
That drop, I mean, it's not like a crazy drop, but it is pitch black, and you definitely don't see it coming.
No.
So definitely,
And it's, it kind of takes half of the scare out of it because you can't see what's going on. You only feel it.
I think that makes it 10 times. If you've never ridden it, you think you're going through maybe a dark tunnel or something.
Right. I can't.
And then all of a sudden,
I can't put myself in those
you're
shoes.
falling through the pitch black. I mean, you just don't know what's going on. So now that you have that little bit of knowledge about the ride, do with that what you will, but that's definitely another one.
Yeah.
To keep an eye on.
Test Track is my other maybe. I think that the whole ride is fine up until the last.
If you've ever driven with a teenager who just got their license, Test Track is fun.
Right, but you get out, you go really fast around a circle. And
65.
Yeah, so it's 65, and you're in a convertible basically.
Yeah, drop top.
Yeah. I mean, it's again.
I mean, it has banked turns. It definitely feels way faster than 65.
Right. This is what I'm saying is a maybe. If your kid doesn't even if they've ridden a go-kart before and they're all set, I would say don't ride this.
I mean,
this is a big maybe. If I was a parent, I would take my kid on this without This
has to be the biggest maybe on the maybe list. I mean, because it's.
I'm trying to get it
most of the
exact. I'm trying to give every ride you should think about.
Yeah, I mean, most of the list, I would say 90 to 95% of the kids aren't going to like. I'm going to say 90 to 95% of the kids will like this one.
You think so? Well, I guess that's
true. There might be a 5%. I guess the inside part is a little dark, but I mean, most of it's lit up, but it is a little dark.
I'm not even saying the inside part.
You're saying just the outside part.
Yeah, that might.
I mean, I don't know.
I can't put myself in those shoes. It's a problem. I can't
I was never afraid of it. I've never had my little cousins afraid of it.
Right.
I've never heard of somebody of a horror story from
I haven't
Test Track.
heard of it either.
I could see. I mean, it feels like you're going 200 miles an hour.
It does.
I
That's what I'm
understand
saying.
It does feel way faster than 60, but
Again, these are our big maybes, so I'd say just to keep this in
yeah.
mind.
I mean, I can see why it's on there. I don't necessarily, I don't have it on my list.
This was the end of my maybes, so I'm curious to see what you have a longer list.
I've got some good ones on
here. So
here.
I'm curious to see what you have.
So my next one, I'm surprised it's not on yours, is Star Tours.
I know I have a reason I didn't put this on.
Star Tours, I mean, it's a motion ride, so right off the bat, if your kid doesn't like those motion rides, 3D motion rides, a definite no-no. But with it being a motion ride or, like a 3D movie ride, the cart does move around a lot, and it's kind of really realistic. Like, you really kind of feel like you're flying through space, and, you're getting shot at and rocked left and right, and,
Right.
and the last time I rode it, there was like a big, huge party with us. It was like a family of 20. I'm assuming it was multiple generations, but they had like 5 or 6 kids with them. All 5 or 6 kids were crying. Yep. They lost it.
I thought I didn't put this on because, like you said, there's a lot of like shooting and lasers and all sorts of stuff.
It's fun.
But that's fun. But a lot of kids play video games as well at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
so I figured they'd be somewhat desensitized to that, as well as Star Wars is huge, so they might recognize their favorite character or something, and be excited to see it.
I mean, I agree. I certainly was never afraid of it as a kid, and my little cousins weren't either. But
me neither.
The last time we were there, a bunch of kids were crying on it. I vividly remember that because it ruined that ride for me. But
see, I'd say again, like I said, if your kid likes Star Wars, I'm sure they'll love the ride.
Yeah.
But like you said, this is the thing, that this is such a unique experience. Like your kids would probably most likely have never experienced something like this.
So
before.
kind of on the same line, just because we're trying to talk about it, I also have the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run.
Right.
They're brand new ride at Disney World.
Yeah.
I've never been on it.
Same idea as Star Tours.
It's a very similar ride to Star Tours. So if they don't like that one, also avoid. I'm not going to tell you anything about Smuggler's Run because I don't want to spoil it for you. I haven't watched any videos because I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Right.
But the rides, they are very similar to each other. So definitely keep that in mind.
Yes.
Past that, I have Primeval Whirl.
What?
Well, hear me out.
What?
Primeval Whirl is in the kids section of Animal Kingdom,
right?
And it is way more of a serious coaster than I think it leads on. First of all, you start off going down these hills, which are some of them are decent hills. You start off going forward. By the end of the ride, you could be going down these hills sideways, backwards, spinning around while you're going around them. It all depends on who's in the cart, how much weight, and all that. But like, you're spinning around the whole time, going around really sharp corners. It really whips you around on that thing. I would say it's an adult roller coaster. I mean, there's a height requirement.
Listen,
there's a height requirement.
I hate this ride just because I think it's stupid.
I just think it's way more intense than it looks. I mean, it's just fun, goofy music.
Okay, again, right? I'll agree with you that it's very misleading. I hate it just because it just like it irks me for some reason. Can't say why. Don't know why. It irks me. But I can.
This isn't the Irk Keegan list.
I can see why this could be not. That you're spinning and moving. You're doing a lot of different motions.
I think it's very surprising to people how intense that ride is.
Right.
Because, again, it's in the kids' land. You got big, goofy dinosaurs lining the whole ride. You got funny music playing the whole time. And when you get on it...
I'd be weary for sure.
The hills are... They're big. There's some of the bigger hills in Animal Kingdom, minus Expedition Everest.
Right.
You're spinning the whole time. The turns you're going around they're no joke. So I think it's definitely another one that catches a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, I can agree. I see where you're coming from with that now. I see it.
My next one on here is definitely a weird one, and it has nothing to do with scaring your kids. I have any of the 360 movies or the movies in general in Epcot, and not because they're scary, but because they are very long and they are very boring.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
More than likely, your kid is not going to want to sit through a half-hour movie going through the sites.
That's actually a really good point. That we didn't even cover. We covered a lot of things that would be scary. We didn't cover things that would be boring.
I did. I thought about it. That's why I made.
You have a longer list. I didn't. I didn't even.
I thought about things that a kid just would never want to sit through, and the 360 movies and just the movies in general, and the Epcot pavilions. While they're beautiful and incredible to see for adults. No kid.
My older brother Colby, he loves.
So do I. I love.
What are the like Earth? All those movies that they like.
Oh, like Planet Earth.
Right. So they have So he dragged me into one of those, and I was young, and I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
No
I
kid
could not
is going to want
appreciate
to
it.
sit through these. I mean, as much as you might, you're going to have to leave
It's
early.
boring.
For kids, it's boring. I mean, for a lot of adults, it's boring. I mean, I like them because I think the sites and it's as close as I'm going to get to France or Italy. Or
Right.
They don't have Italy, but France or China or Canada for a long time, and I like to see all the cool stuff they got going on. But to bring your kid in there, I mean, is just going to be torture for you. They're going to be complaining.
Yeah, I mean,
probably crying.
Yeah,
I've
even now, I've got bad ADHD, and I couldn't sit through
I've
that
seen
again.
my fair share of kids just crying because they're just sick of sitting in this half-hour movie of just sights and sounds of all these countries. The bar one, the show in America is actually pretty cool. It has an animatronics and it has
Right.
It's a lot more interesting subject matter in the U.S. pavilion, but all the other shows in the other pavilion, so that's China, France, and Canada. I would avoid those with kids because they are.
On the topic of this, I don't have this on my list, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to say Hall of Presidents. I wouldn't bring a kid on.
Bring your kids to Hall of Presidents.
You think?
I love Hall of Presidents.
I think as a kid, you'd be so bored.
I think what's interesting in the Hall of Presidents now is they have security guards in there because people get up and pretty much yell at the President Trump animatronic.
Oh my!
If you haven't seen
God.
that yet, this happened the last time we were there.
It happened while you were there.
Oh yeah, I don't want to get into the whole politics thing. I just think that's it's interesting to see. Yeah,
I don't even take a political view. I'm not for or against. But come on. It's not even disrespect to the president. That's not even my point. It's just like, are you serious?
I mean, hey, if you're passionate about something and you feel like you gotta get that off your chest,
why don't you just go?
I don't know.
Pull a picture up on your phone and scream at it.
That's something to expect when you go to Hall of Presidents. There are security guards in there, and people are known to get up and do that.
So they're there during the ride, and so if
there were 4 security guards inside Hall of Presidents during the show.
So when whoever he or she got up,
grabbed them, took them out.
You're kidding.
Which, I mean, another thing, if you have kids, you don't want to be doing that. This person also will scream profanities, so you might want to expect. Maybe that's a reason why it's not a great.
So they literally got on that ride specifically to do.
Waited until the end, sat through the whole whatever hour-long show just to do that.
Yeah,
at the
see,
end.
like you just said, an hour-long show of animatronic presidents.
Listen, my eyes are open the whole time. I'm fired up. I love Hall of Presidents. But
I'm going to say, as a kid,
I guess
they don't give a rat's behind what's going on.
It could be a little boring for kids. I mean, I get that.
They're there to see Mickey Mouse and run around and do whatever they want. I'd say Hall.
If they
if they like history, I mean, cool. But I'm gonna say
sit still through something like that.
How long? It's long.
Hall of Presidents is like around an hour. The other shows aren't as long. I think they're 20, 25 minutes for their 360 movies.
Yeah, Hall of Presidents is like long.
But they're longer, those ones for sure. And then my last one on my maybe list is Flight of Passage.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you put Soren on?
I do. I was gonna mention that with this one, but it's another 3D kind of motion. Well, Flight of Passage is definitely.
I'd say this is an awesome ride for kids. So I'd like to hear your point.
Well, so I'll start with Soren. Soren in particular, if your kid is afraid of heights and you get on that highest mobile they call it, and he looks down, I mean you're I think it's 10 stories up there. You are way up. That could freak him out. That's my only thing. And
it does take you by surprise how high up you are.
You don't really expect to go that high, and when you're on the floor looking up at the mobiles, it doesn't look that high, but when they take you out to the screen, there is no floor because the screen goes down. So there's another 5 or 6 stories down. See, the thing is with Soren though, I think that if you really want to ride this and you're like I don't really care what my kid has to say, I feel like they'll be almost entirely distracted. I mean, if you request to get a lower mobile, definitely be fine. If you just tell your kid not to look down, which you shouldn't do because as soon as you tell your kid not to do something, they're going to do it. But if they don't look down, I think they'd be distracted by what's going on. I'm sure most kids are, but again, another ride that I wouldn't think was scary, and I've been on it and I've heard kids crying. Really? Yep. I think because they look down and were afraid of the heights. I think that's the only scary part about it. I didn't even think about that. Flight of Passage. I haven't ridden this, so I can't say anything. You're not going to have the height problem like you do. I mean, you do get swung out over stuff, but. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would tell you I was on the back of a dragon riding through the Labrador. I mean, it is that realistic. It really makes you feel like you're riding on the back of a dragon. Right. So if you think the movement is very intense. It's loud. It's very immersive. And again, you are suspended quite high in the air. So if you think that's something that might scare your kid, definitely keep that in mind. But I will say something: if I had kids that met the height requirement, I'm dragging them on this ride because it's the best ride in Walt Disney World. You're on record for this, just so you know. That's a joke, but I would really being serious though, try to get your kids on this because I'm going to say that they're going to love it and it's going to be the best experience of their whole trip.
Right.
But if they are afraid of heights,
this is what I think is the perfect what do you call it? Risk
reward.
Yeah,
scenario.
risk to reward scenario. Exactly.
I mean, if there's any ride, you're going to push your kid, get over their fears and stuff on in Walt Disney World, Flight of Passage. Because I've never met a kid that wouldn't love this ride. I mean, I do know kids that might be hesitant to go on it, but once they did it, I mean, I guarantee it's their favorite ride.
It's a lot of I'm picturing. I mean, I don't want to watch anything, but I saw the previews and everything, and I know I've listened to you talk about it a million times.
I mean, you picturing it, you're probably thinking like, "Oh, this ride's like a solid 9, 10." It is a 20. Like it is. There is no other ride in Walt Disney World that can even come close to comparing with Flight of Passage. It is that amazing. That's why there's a 3-4 hour wait every day, but it's incredible. And with that being said,
that concludes our list.
We do have a question. We have another 2 episodes in a row. We love the questions. Thanks for asking, but.
Do you want me to read it? I got it up right here.
We have another question from a recent subscriber. So Keith's going to read that.
So this comes from Kim T. Her question is, "Hey, new sub here. Do you guys know what time the transportation starts on extra magic hours? Yeah. If Hollywood Studios opens at 6, what's the earliest you can leave on the monorail? Also, have you ever seen the minivans running that early? Good luck with your channel. Yeah. Thanks." Well, thank you, Kim T. We're gonna jump right into your question.
For those of you that don't know, she used the abbreviation EEMH in her question. So
right,
if you ever see
that, yeah.
EEMH is extra magic hours. EMH is going to be extra magic hours. So extra magic hours are a limited time thing. They're doing it Disney World. They started it when for Galaxy's Edge because they knew people are going to be trying to ride it. So it's not going to be going on forever. So for extra magic hours, Hollywood Studios opens at 6. So all transportation, monorail, buses, things like that will start running at 5, an hour before that opens.
This goes for any park.
For Hollywood Studios, only opens at 6. So,
so everything's at an hour before your parks. You can get to your park.
So Hollywood Studios transportation will start at 5. So buses for Hollywood Studios will be starting at 5. And then for the other 2 parks with extra magic hours, so Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom, those open at 7 a.m. And those transportation for those will be starting at 6.
Right.
So that's just the buses for those because they don't have the monorail. Well, actually, no, the Magic Kingdom will have the monorail. The Animal Kingdom won't.
Yeah.
And then as far as the minivans go, so those are actually technically private contractors. Disney goes through Lyft to run the minivans. They're private contractors that Disney contracts out to run the minivans. And so they don't have to be running in the morning. I actually had to ask.
Yeah, we had to look this up because we've never taken the minivan.
We had to call Disney themselves to ask the question because this is a really good question. This one about the minivans. So they don't technically have to be running in the morning, but the drivers are aware of the extra magic hours, and they are given bonuses and incentives to be driving during this time. So they said 9 times out of 10 there will be minivans available to you if you want to use the service.
They do say to book it about 40 minutes to an hour.
Right, so that's another thing.
Before you're willing to get or you're going to get on.
So yeah, that's another thing. If you plan ahead and you say, hey, we're doing extra magic hours, can you pick us up, a couple days in advance or even a day in advance? You're gonna have
you'll have someone come pick you up.
If you wake up and this is the last minute thing you want to do
3 or 4 a.m. You're probably not going to get.
No, they said 9 times out of 10 there will be vans around in the
morning. You
morning,
think so?
But it's definitely gonna be more difficult if you don't plan ahead.
Right.
Keep that in mind. But thank you again, Kimberly, for your question. We appreciate it, and we hope we answered it for you there.
Yes.
With that being said, if you have any questions, you can definitely ask us questions on all of our platforms. We're on Instagram at Disney Patrol _. We're at Facebook at Disney Patrol Blog, and we also have our full-time blog at DisneyPatrolBlog.com.
All the links are in the description if you want to come check them out.
If you're watching us on YouTube, just put a question right in the comments like Kimberly did, and we'll answer it from there. But, we definitely love the questions and comments and feedback. We want to make this a show as good as we can. We want to be kind of a resource to you guys to help you out, share the knowledge that we have. We want to learn from you. So if you have any, criticism or feedback, we'd also
good or bad, we want to hear it.
Yep. We say it all the time, but we love our fans. We love the listeners, and we love interacting with you guys. We're still working on getting the live chat going, so keep an eye out for that. With that being said, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.